Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Akibatun lil Mustaqim. Alhamdulillah. My dear brothers and sisters, I'm going to embark on some things here on the Islamic, the Nia, which is a very important part of that. And I must give my praises to our Prophet ﷺ and Muhammadan, who Sayyidina Mekbubina, in who kana Rasulun Nabiyan, Salawatu Allah Ta'ala wa Salamu alayhi. And also, my brothers and sisters, I wanted to take this time as well to greet all of you with the beautiful greetings of Jannah. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh. And I want to thank you, my dear brothers and sisters who have subscribed to me and who have followed my programs. And it's greatly, immensely appreciated. Jazakallah khairan. Well, barakallah fiqh. And I really appreciate that. And those brothers and sisters who may check my programs out. If you like, please subscribe. And also hit the like button. Because my wife always reminds me, she says, you never talk about those things. So I know I'll get wrapped up in my subject matter. I don't talk. But I want to relay my deepest, immense gratitude to you, brothers and sisters, for following me and subscribing to my program. It's greatly, immensely appreciated. And I thank you very much. Shukran jazilan. Okay, brothers and sisters, we're going to talk about a topic called Nia. And the Nia in Arabic means intention. And of course, we have the English versions of that. We have an Islamic version of it. And this is what we go by as Muslims. And no Muslim, or rightful guided Muslim, cannot develop, nurture, and strengthen his Nia. If he doesn't do this, then his relationship with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is very weak. And we have that today, where we have Muslims basically who don't strengthen their Nia, nor understand about the Nia, how important role that plays. And I have a book that is outstanding. It's in Arabic and English. And I suggest that all of you get it who are interested in understanding your Aqidah. Because this is Islamic education at its best. And this book here is broken down very simply. It's about 49 to 50 pages. And you can get it in the Arabic language. You can get it in the English language. And the book is titled Actions Are by Intentions. And it's a beautiful book. And it breaks down the Nia, all of the aspects of it. And this is important for all brothers and sisters who are seeking favor and from Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and his mercy, and to strengthen their Nia. And this is important, especially those living in the West, where the intention is not always understood. And the attention sometimes is often clouded because of the environment that you live in. But this here will help you to get a better grasp upon your Nia, where you're sitting in Philadelphia there, or sitting in Baltimore, Maryland, or Atlanta, Georgia, the ATL, or Compton, California, Los Angeles, California, Long Beach, any places in the West, and also in Europe and Canada and so forth and so on. So the name of the book again is called The Actions Are by Intentions. And the Sheikh who wrote this book is Sheikh Faisal Abdul Razak. And it's a very interesting book, to say the least. And so this is the guide that I'm going to be using to break down the Sheikh's his book, because it's worth it to understand. It even brought me back to some things I had forgotten about, because when you have Islamic education, you can't remember something. This is like when you learn something in school and 30 years later, you forget many things. And it's always good to have refresher courses to help you to, to get back into the swing of things, because we can't remember everything. And the life is very, very difficult. So we started this here. How do we come about the hadith? One of the hadiths is by Omar, radiallahu anhu. And he basically has said something that he had heard from the Prophet ﷺ. So this hadith is sahih. It is authentic. It's not weak. The narrations, everything it's a authentic hadith. And here he talks about the niyyah. And I'm going to get the translation here for you. On the authority of the commander of the faithful, Abu Hafs, Omar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, said, I heard the messenger of Allah, والسلام, say, actions are judged according to intentions, and every man shall have what to which he intended. Listen to this good, my brothers and sisters. Very interesting what he says. Actions are judged according to intentions, and every man shall have that which he intended. Thus, he who migration was for Allah and his messenger, his migration was for Allah and his messenger. And he who migration was to achieve some worldly benefit or to take some woman in marriage, his migration was for that for which he migrated. So this is an interesting hadith, and it goes to pointing out certain things about the intentions that we should have in our heart. And the hijrah is a main focus basically of the intention, because let's face it, we have many Muslims living outside the United States, and they are in a quagmire, because the way the system's set up today is very difficult for you to live in a Muslim state. They won't have you. Bottom line, they'll have a few here and there, but they're just not equipped, nor do they want to have Western Muslims come in droves to their country. This is the truth, because they are encumbered by the Western governments. We know that. And the Western governments do not want to see a mass migration of Muslims from the West going into 57 Muslim states. They don't want to see that. One or two here and there, okay, who they pick out, so forth and so on. But what has happened is they're flooding the 57 countries of disbelievers, because the hope is, again, the attention of our enemy is to fill these countries full of disbelievers, so that way there's a term we call it in the Sharia called Dar Harb, a place of war. Place of war means a place against the Muslims. This is their aim. So it's not easy for you to migrate at this time. Not easy at all. So you stay in the United States, it's difficult. If you try to migrate to Muslim countries, most of the time they won't have you. They'll let you visit, but they want to get you back home. And then they'll find ways so you won't be able to get residency. Your brother who's a Christian will have an easier time at it. He can go there, he can come there, and he decides he wants to stay and to be a resident, he has no problem. So this is something that we have to deal with at this time, because we're very weak, very, very weak. So now I'm going to get into this here. There's a lot of Arabic here. I'm looking through my notes here, trying to get into the heart of this. And again, we have Imam al-Bukhari is the reporting of this hadith, and is used by Imam Muslim as well, reported this hadith in his collection. And this hadith is so famous that a lot of the famous hadith collectors use this particular hadith as one of its, what could I say, in the first part of their book, because it is so valuable. and the wisdom and the wisdom behind this is very telling. So we'll talk about that. Now, let's look at this. The importance of the niyyah. And we're going through these stages here. The time and place of the niyyah. The obligations of the hijrah. Remember, I just spoke of that. The rewards of the niyyah, the sincerity into intentions and actions, and all actions should be based upon worship and ibadah. Essentially, this is what we talk about, the importance of the hadith and what we know it does for us. And here it talks about it represents a fundamental aspect of the religion and Islam, and most of the Islamic rulings are related to this hadith. This is how powerful this hadith is. It forms a pivot for the deen. Deen in Arabic means religion. So the sayings of the scholars of Islam clearly indicate this point. And they go through a whole bunch of imams, of great imams that we had in the past. Some of their books in their categories, like Abu Dawud, Rahimahullah, and so forth. And then the four great imams, their comments on this particular hadith, and so forth and so on. So it is a very valuable hadith that was recorded and was narrated. And so this is a good lesson for us, and to understand this. And remember something, our niyyah has to be strengthened at all time. It has to be strengthened at all time, brothers and sisters, because the objective of the Muslim is his worship. When he gets up in the morning, he's moving towards worship, because his day is geared around worshiping Subhanahu wa ta'ala, thinking about Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, you have the worldly duties, your job, making money, providing for the family, and so forth and so on. That's a given, that's understood. And we have to have the correct niyyah. And how we strengthen the niyyah is by our ibadah and by our iman, our faith. This is how we strengthen this niyyah. And when you become a very strong Muslim, the niyyah is so clear. The niyyah is present in just about everything we do. And the niyyah, why we're getting up. I'm getting up now 2 hours before Fajr prayer to do what? To make tahajjud prayer. Okay, and even before that, I make wudu. What is the niyyah? To make tahajjud prayer. This is the niyyah that's in my heart. I'm getting up because I want to make these prayers to Subhanahu wa ta'ala. See, this is what I'm talking about. When you get into the devoutness of Islam, this niyyah will begin to have a profound effect upon you, because your niyyah, you'll be thinking about the heart, and you'll be thinking about your niyyah and everything you do. So that's his important aspect. And so the importance of niyyah, and the scholars agree by consensus that no action is complete without the proper niyyah or intention. Brothers and sisters, this is a true fact. And you remember something what our first caliph said. And he talked about an issue because they were trying to figure out, people were coming to Islam. They thought that they were coming to Islam out of fear. But Abu Bakr, he said, no, we cannot judge the heart, but we can judge the actions which speak for the heart. See, and so the scholars agree by consensus that no action is complete without the proper niyyah and intention. Today we have many people, they hear the adhan and they go through the motion. They don't even do their wudu correctly, or some don't even make wudu at all. Others just don't even pray, or others just they say, okay, it's a chore. Okay, I got to get up and do it. This niyyah here is very bad, and you got to remember something on the backdrop of this too, my brothers and sisters. Always remember this: that the heart and the niyyah and so forth. You're being attacked every single day by shaitan. No doubt about that. Everybody. Shaitan comes after everybody. and his shaitan. They come after us putting the wrong niyyah in our hearts and so forth and so on. Even if you have the wrong, bad thoughts, don't get up, Yahya. I know it's close to Fajr prayer, but don't get up. Stay in bed. And, and you don't act upon what was in your heart, you get reward for that. If you act on what's in your heart and you go back to sleep and you don't wake up for Fajr prayer, you get a demerit for this. So even if you get up and you're walking down the street and you see a store and you see, you haven't had an apple in a long time, nobody's looking, and apples are right there in front of you, there's nobody around you. The niyyah, your niyyah is telling you, the niyyah inside your heart, and shaitan is telling you, hey, look, I think you should be okay, Yahya. Go ahead and take an apple or two, no harm. Even though it's telling you this, but you don't take up on that, you get a reward for that. That's the beauty of our religion, my brothers and sisters. So in the importance, number one here, importance of the niyyah, the prescribed ibadah and acts of worship such as salat, hajj, and psalm, fasting and so forth, is a pillar. And these acts of worship are not correct without the proper niyyah. I just got through telling you that. If you get up and you know it's time for prayer, but you don't have the right niyyah for the prayer, you don't want to make prayer, you do it only because you want to impress somebody, or you want to make sure you don't get in trouble with, say, the young man. He said, look, I know I don't feel like praying, and but I got to do it because Pop's going to jump all over me if I don't do it. So you hurriedly make your wudu, you don't pay too much attention to it, and you make your prayer, and you go back to the computer so you can go rap to your friends. See, so we talk about the essence of the worship is with the proper niyyah, and it's true. You cannot have that. As a matter of fact, without that right niyyah, your prayer is not even accepted, because the wudu has to be the prerequisite for the prayer. If the wudu is the intention for the wudu is not there, you may not get the credit that you want and the reward for that prayer, because the niyyah was not right. And this is what's hurting a large scale of Muslims today, because they don't even make prayer. I mean, they don't even pray at all, and they don't even make wudu at all. They take baths every week or so, but that's not the same thing. But they're not worshiping subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, they may walk on the street and they use alhamdulillah a lot, 100 times, 300 times per day, but that's not worship. That's not the worship subhanahu wa ta'ala is designated, and what our prophet has designated as well. So we have to have this right niyyah. And as for those actions, which are means for performance and aforementioned acts of worship, such as wudu, I just got through talking that. Wudu is a big, big, big one. We must have our wudu, the ablution, before we make the prayer, and that intention comes in this area. I get up. I know I'm going to get up hour or so, 2 hours accordingly, and I get up and I make my wudu. I'm getting up because I know it's time for me to make tahajjud. And tahajjud prayer is a prayer, is optional prayer, but it's a lot of rewards to it before Fajr prayer. So you get up, do your rakats, and so forth and so on. So you have to have the right niyyah for that. And it says here, the aforementioned acts of worship, such as wudu and ghusl. Ghusl. Of course, this is the major evolution when you have had relations with your wife, and so forth and so on. And then also the woman has this when she's finished with her cycles and so forth. I don't want to get into that, but that's another. But we have this type of thing, and this is you have to have this. If you don't, especially if you do not do this after you've had a relationship with your wife, everything that comes after this, if you make prayer without this ghusl, then you're in trouble. That prayer is not going to be accepted because you have major discharge and so forth and so on. You must make this extra ibadah. You must do this, and there's a way of doing it. I'm not going to get into that today here because that's again another class. But the Sheikhs Islams are talking about this here, and they make it clear that we have to have this right niyyah to have this. And they said the niyyah is a condition of correctness for the acceptance of the type of ibadah. This is a true fact, my brothers and sisters, very true fact. The second part of this is the second one here is the time and place of niyyah. This is interesting as well, because again, you have to be in the right place. Now, we live in the West, we live in the rat race now. You on the freeway, or you in a big mall, or like here we have the old Medinas where it's very crowded. If you look at the pictures like here in Fez, we have these the old towns. Old Medina is in Arabic means it means the old city, and and we have masjids inside the old Medina as well. But there in the United States, you don't have that luxury, so you have to make the right niyyah at the right time. But you still do it because we have malls. You go to the mall, you're with your family, and one of the first things I do if I go to a mall, which there's not many malls here, but we have them, except in the major cities. And you go there and you look for the first thing I do, I try to find a place where we pray, because I know I'm going to fall in that time frame. So the time of niyyah is just prior to the beginning of the action, such as the takbir for salat, or for the Ikram, Hajj, and Umrah. The place of niyyah is the heart. This is interesting. Again, the place of the niyyah is the heart. Thus, it is not essential to verbalize the niyyah, meaning you don't have to come out to the street and declare, you see me, say Muhammad and Ahmed standing outside, and then suddenly you come to make a declaration that you're going to go make wudu. You don't have to do that. That's not called for here, that you have to do that. You don't have to verbalize this, but it is desirable. It's desirable. Remember in the Sunnah we have these different degrees. Remember the Sunnah of the Prophet, and we have. It is desirable to say it with the tongue to clarify and crystallize the niyyah in the heart. Meaning, I don't have to go tell the whole city what I'm going to do. I can say I'm going to make my wudu now before prayer. And you say it a little bit off your lips. This is what they're talking about here. But even if you don't say it, but you have it internally, you're okay. But if you do clarify by saying on your tongue. But here again, I don't do this all the time. I don't say I maybe sometimes I'm doing it just naturally. I don't even think nothing about it. I just say it. But a lot of times it seems like to me I don't. I say okay, it's time for me to make wudu. I got 15 minutes before prayer, and so forth and so on. And so I'm saying that I'm going to make that wudu. So this is important to have this niyyah and so forth. And the niyyah specifies a particular act of worship and distinguishes from another act of worship. Again, I'm getting ready to make wudu because why? I'm getting ready to pray. I'm making the intention to make a ghusl because I had relations with my wife, and so I'm making the ablution for that. You see what I mean? This type of niyyah like that. And there's other situations too that we have where we have to take wudu in certain circumstances, and this is a long, lengthy class. So we have that. Now, 3 is the obligation of hijrah. Now, this is I've talked many classes about the hijrah, and I'm not going to belabor it here, but I'm going to mention it here in this sense that part of the niyyah is this niyyah is the hijrah. And again, this is very difficult, and we have older Muslims that can't travel. They just cannot. They are encumbered. They cannot. They're sickly. They just cannot. They don't have the money. Maybe their weaknesses in their body now. They cannot make that hijrah to a Muslim country. And as we said before, the Muslim countries are not accepting most of us at this time as well. See, so, but you still should have the intention, brothers and sisters, to do make that. And it's no fault to you if you try to make hijrah to 157, one of the countries, or 3 or 4 or 5 of the countries, and they reject you, or they don't let you migrate there. It's no fault to you. So you have to go back to Baltimore, Maryland. It's no fault to you. Even if you have the need that you want to do it, but you cannot because you're sickly. And maybe there's some circumstances in your family. You got to take care of moms and pops. They're old now. You can't go migrate and just leave them there. Someone has to take care of them. So there's a lot of variables to this. The hijrah or migration from the land of unbelievers to the land of Islam is obligatory on the Muslim who is unable to practice his religion in that place. We've heard this many times before. If you're in a situation where you can practice your faith, you should try to leave to another Muslim state. And then it says the ruling is perpetual without any conditions. With respect to the hadith, which states there's no hijrah from the remember the feta, okay? There's no hijrah. This means that there was no hijrah from Mecca after it was conquered by the Muslims and became Dar Islam. See, this is another issue too, where the scholars talk about like the hijrah that I made to Morocco. It's not the same as it was in those days. It's not the same type of hijrah. You understand? But even though I am fulfilling one aspect of it, which I'll get into this here. Then it says another shade. Remember the word again, shade, meaning dilla. Remember dilla. Another shade of meaning of hijrah is the migrate from what Allah has prohibited. Subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited. Everybody knows what's going on in the United States. You have homosexuality. You have outright fornication. You have mass killings. You have brutality, police killings. You have gangland, drug, fraud, corruption. I mean, it's off the charts. Weird climate. So here, what is prohibited. Thus, the muhajir in this sense is the person who moves away or migrates from what Allah has prohibited. That is your saving grace, my brothers and sisters, if you understand that. Here, again, is the real hijrah is finished. Because when the Muslims left Mecca, that was the original. And also we had the migration to Habasha to get away from persecution. But when Mecca was taken, that ended all of this. But we still have hijrah today when Muslims leave the place that's prohibited. It's a prohibited country, meaning all the stuff that's going on, the drugs, everything else that's in it. So you are leaving Compton, California to come to Fez, Morocco, because there it is prohibited. Subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like to see what's going on there. Naked women, prostitution, drugs, gangland stuff, racial discrimination, there's injustices, all this type of stuff that's prohibited under Islam. Now you're leaving that to come to Morocco. See, this is how you're covered in the dillah of hijrah. Okay, the shade of that hijrah is covered because you're leaving the place of prohibited. So number 4, the rewards of the niyyah. If a servant makes intention to do a good deed, but is prevented from doing so because of circumstances beyond his control, such as sickness, death, then he is rewarded based upon his intention. That's very interesting, brothers and sisters. Again, you are injured or you had surgery. You can't get up. Hospital, you can't get up to go to the masjid to make prayer. You cannot. You can't even get up out of the bed to make prayer in the room. You cannot. See? So here you make the intention that you want to, but you cannot. And you're okay. See? And this is the same thing too, what goes on with the Muslims who are in the West, who have a hard time. They want to go pray, but they cannot at this particular time. But they still have the obligation of making the prayer. but they won't be able to make it on time. You see, it's a difference. But when you have circumstances because you are sick, sickness, and you just cannot do it, or you in a situation where you're traveling and you are, in a situation where you can't make the prayer, or there's many variety of things that happen to you. As long as you're making the right intention to do it, you get rewarded for it. But you don't get rewarded for it if you come home. You couldn't make the Maghrib prayer because of circumstances on the freeway, things was going on. You cannot make prayer. So you want to make the prayer at the time, but you couldn't. You get rewarded for it because you wanted to make it on time, but you cannot because of circumstances. But if you come home and you don't make the prayer for Maghrib, then you're in trouble because you still are obligated to make the prayer, even though you cannot. Now, the person who is in the hospital, he just had surgery. There's a way you can still make prayer, even he cannot speak, but he's cognizant enough. He tried to make the prayer. It doesn't mean that you get up and make rak'ahs and prostration. No, you lay down and you make your prayer, and underneath you can utter some words, the takbir and so forth and so on, if you can do it. But you try your best. If you cannot, you get rewarded for it. This is the beauty, again, of our religion. And then one of their famous imams said, the actions without intention are not correct. While intentions without action may be rewarded, the relationship of niyyah to the action is the soul to the body. There is no existence of the body without the soul. True. There is no soul in this world without attachment to the body. So again, you have the niyyah and you have there's no existence of the body without the soul. You have to have the right niyyah, and you have to have it inside the heart. You have to maintain this. This is what this sheikh here was talking about. And again, brothers and sisters, we talk about an issue like this. It may be mundane to many people, but it is part of your aqidah, because we are walking around today without the proper niyyah. Many of us don't even have any niyyah at all. We get up, we go about our business. We don't even have the intention or anything like this. We just do things as though we're I don't know any other words, zombies. We just go about our business and we don't think about it. But this is wrong in Islam. You must make the good intentions. Okay, number 5 is sincerity in intention and action. It is important to have ikhlas, or sincerity, in all actions in order to receive rewards in the hereafter and the success in this world. Remember what I said earlier? We have people who are arrogant or conceited. So what they'll do, in order to get praise and recognition, they'll go buy special clothes, okay, that stand out. I mean, stand out. And then you walk to the masjid and you go inside the masjid with these very loud clothes on. You there, what is your intention? What, to gain what, recognition for the clothes? Or you go in there with a very expensive suit. So what is the intention? Why'd you come? This is what we're talking about here. And this is why this is a very serious problem we have today. We all have bouts of arrogance and insincerity. That's a human trait. But we have to master it and keep it under control. And we have to ask for subhanahu wa ta'ala for him to purify our hearts, and we have a good intention so we don't become arrogant. Okay? And so it's important that the actions in order to receive rewards in the hereafter, in success of this world, it's important that we have the sincerity. You're going to the masjid to make prayer and to pray to subhanahu wa ta'ala and to fulfill your obligations as a Muslim. This is your sincerity. This is a good niyyah. But we have niyyah for other things. We have others saying, you know what, I go to the masjid because I want everybody to see that I go pray. That's the wrong niyyah. See? So you have to understand that. If you go into niyyah because you're working, this is your job meaning your job to do there, and you're doing something wrong that's against the Sharia, and your niyyah is wrong, you don't get no reward for that. Even your prayer is not even accepted in its circumstances. Number 6, all actions should be acts of worship or ibadah. Any action which is beneficial and good with correct intention and sincerity and done to gain pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes an act of worship, ibadah, and is rewarded accordingly. Then the Shaykh Islam here is talking about the same thing, which is beneficial and good and correct intention. Again, I give you an example. I know I have to walk almost close to a mile to go to the masjid. Because where I moved to now, the masjid is just, and I like it in a lot of ways because I get to walk and exercise and so forth and so on. And so I get all this extra reward because as I go to the masjid, I'm making dhikr Allah a lot. You know, my fingers are making dhikr Allah, and I'm walking to go to the masjid. So every step I make, I'm getting reward for it. My intention is when I get up early in the morning, I know I want to make Fajr prayer. I'm showing sincerity because, and subhanahu wa ta'ala has seen over the years since I've been a Muslim, I had this desire to go to make Fajr prayer. He sees that. So I have the intention to do that. And also so many years, the tahajjud prayer before the Salat al-Fajr, I'm up. And I'm making intention to do that because I know I get reward. And plus, I want to talk to subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember something, subhanahu wa ta'ala descends down to the lower heavens to now listen to his ibadah, to his ibadi. I mean, the person is worship, and to listen to your cries, your complaints, your wishes and your desires, and your ask for forgiveness. The tahajjud prayer is for that, because subhanahu wa ta'ala descends and he's waiting to hear from you. Many brothers and sisters don't even make this prayer because it's difficult. I know that, especially this time of the year. You only have, I'm an old man now. I mean, I'm getting up, I'm only having 3 hours of sleep. You know, and sometimes it's less than that. And I have to get up to make the tahajjud prayer. So I get up and I make the tahajjud prayer, and I have the intention because I want to talk with subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I want to ask him things, and I want his guidance, and I want to ask for his forgiveness. I do those things, and I have the right intention for that. You see what I mean, brothers and sisters? And this is what we should do and how we should play this out. And I'm giving you these pointers. It may, of course, be mundane, but it's part of your aqidah. This is why I said to you, brothers and sisters, many times, many of us don't understand our aqidah. We don't understand it at all. And this is one of the aspects, is the simple, something simple like the niyyah. If the disbeliever comes to you and says, I heard something about intention, many Muslims can't explain that. They just cannot, even though that's an integral part of your Islam, is the niyyah. You have to have that. And you have to have the right niyyah. And again, as you heard me say, these 5 things here should help you. The importance of the niyyah, the time and place of the niyyah. It's been broken down for you by the Shaykh Islam from all these eras, talking about the same issue. This should help to strengthen you in your endeavor to purify the heart, and to strengthen the heart, and to strengthen your niyyah. This is important, that you must do that. And I have some things here. What we got here? Okay. Now, we talked about this already, but I have to bring this up because our brothers in the United States are vulnerable in some ways to this, and I understand that. In the desperation, as many brothers are coming to Islam, they can't find wives. We know this for a fact. They cannot. So a lot of times they are looking for women outside of the United States who are Muslims in Muslim states, or even in Europe, or whatever the situation may be. And those in Muslim states, they decide they want to migrate there. Now they have to check their niyyah. Why are they migrating? Are they migrating to marry the girl here in Morocco? You see, is this their intention? This is the issue why I'm talking to the brothers now about this, because we have brothers who got in trouble over this because their niyyah is not correct. Yes, they're practicing. They're in Compton, California. And then they couldn't find a wife. They just cannot find a wife. There's not many Muslims there. It's true. Cannot. And if you go marry a Christian girl, that's a lot of rulings on that. You have to be very careful about doing that. So they decide to come to Morocco. Did he come to Morocco to make hijrah because to worship, to strengthen his faith? Or is he in Morocco to marry a girl, a Muslim? See, this is what we're talking about here. And that's why we have to be very careful on our niyyah. Because remember what Omar said. He said, if you're going because of subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this is what your migration, this is what you get rewarded for. But if you're migrating for marriage or a woman, then this is your migration is basically given that. You're not rewarded for that. You're not rewarded for that. So this is important, brothers and sisters. And and again, we have this example here. The Muslim migrates to a non-Muslim state. This is the other issue that we have with the brothers. Muslim migrates to a non-Muslim state to grow bananas. He decides, okay, I'm just using that for example. He decides he's going to go to Ghana. He's a Muslim. He says he's going to go to Ghana because he heard that one of the chiefs is given free land. And he's giving it to African Americans who migrate. He's a Muslim. So he said, you know what? And I've always dreamed about having a banana farm. So he migrates to Ghana. Yes, he's still Muslim. He worships and all that. But he migrated to Ghana, which is a non-Muslim state, to go there for economic reasons. It's very dangerous. Because when you die in that country, there's a lot of things at stake here. Because we are not allowed to migrate to non-Muslim states unless it's an emergency or we have no other choice. Then you do that. And the scholars are all in consensus of that. You have to have circumstances that allow you to do that. Even if Ghana has a large Muslim population, but it's still not regarded as a Muslim state. And you know the ruling. The Muslim state is regarded as the head of the state is Muslim. The military and the court, the administration of justice, all that is geared towards the Sharia Islamiyah. Just because a country like Ghana has, I've forgotten now what the percentage of population, 40% now of the population is really skyrocketed. I can't recall now what it is. I think I heard it was 40%. It's still not a Muslim state, you see? So you have to be very careful of that. Be very, very mindful of that, brothers and sisters, because with the migrations going on to Africa today, you must have the right niyyah because you are a Muslim. You must have the right circumstances so you'll get the reward for it. And then you have that shade. See, like the scholar has said, talked about that, the dillah. You'll have that shade if you have the right intentions at that time. So again, we have to be very, very, very cognizant of that. And then we hear the Muslims' hijrah is for Allah Ta'ala and His Messenger to Muslim state where you can hear the call to prayer. The Quran is remembered and the Sunnah is practiced. This is the correct niyyah. Now, my brothers and sisters, just what I wrote here, this will help you tremendously if you're sitting there in Philadelphia thinking, or you're sitting there in an ATL thinking about what you're going to do. Or you're sitting in Compton, or you're sitting in Baltimore, you're sitting in the hood in St. Louis, or in Chicago. And now you're thinking about what you're going to do here. This should help you to guide you because you should have the right intention. Where, again, a place where you can hear the adhan. A lot of non-Muslim countries, you cannot hear the adhan at all. They won't even allow you to have the adhan. What happens when you have Eid, the big Eid, when you're supposed to sacrifice? They won't even allow you to sacrifice. And is the Quran remembered? In most Muslim states, it is not. It's not. Even though you have Muslims in it, it's not. And many Muslims don't even practice their faith. When they go to Muslims, non-Muslim countries, they stop to be Muslims. So, and it's the Sunnah practice. it's not practiced in a non-Muslim state. They fight the woman who have hijab. You know that. So, and you see, and they fight the men in certain clothing because they consider that to be an act of terrorism. If you dress a certain way in some of these Muslim states, especially in Europe, you're deemed a terrorist. See, so this is your guide here on going to a Muslim state to migrate. Now, there are Muslim states that accept you. And there's some, and you have to do your research. But as a general rule, a mass migration, they're not going to accept that. On an individual basis, some here and there, they will accept. But we don't have many luxuries, brothers and sisters, unfortunately. We don't have that. But it's no fault to you if you try to make this hijra to one of the 57 countries and you cannot. And you just can't keep going and trying to figure which 57. You try to do the best you can and you do your research, which one's most hospitable towards you. Some of them have hostile migration policies for you, black man, in particular, black Muslim. They just do. And so you may have slim pickings to a certain degree. You have to be very careful of that. So this is a situation that is very telling and very, very perplexing. And so we have to be cognizant of this. And we have to understand why the Nia is so important for us. And what is the purpose behind it? I'm trying to locate a thing here that I wanted to get to you to make a point for you to understand what happens here. The hadith, the reason behind this narration is because one Muslim, he wasn't Muslim at the time. His wife became Muslim. He said he was Muslim. And his wife said the woman said, I will not marry you. They weren't married, They weren't married. And she said, I will not marry you unless you come to the Medina. Now, you got to remember something, again, the historical background behind this. There was a lot of stuff going on. We had women who came to Islam, but their husbands weren't Muslims. So the ruling, we cannot stay married. The woman cannot stay married to her husband who's not a Muslim. She just cannot. It's forbidden. So she makes migration to Medina. Many of them returned, and we talked about this in another class. Many of them said, you know what? I want to be a Muslim, but I love my husband. And so they returned back to Mecca, and basically they left the deen. Some returned after the conquest and so forth and so on. But the narration shows that that this person cannot, his niyyah was not right. He did not make the niyyah here. And this is a story, and I'll read it to you real quickly here. It says here that there was a man amongst us who was engaged to a woman known as Qais. She refused to marry him until he migrated from Mecca to the Medina, because she's a Muslimah. She cannot. He has to be a Muslim. So he migrated in order to marry her. They got married in Medina, and we used to refer to him as Muhajir Qais. This is what they called him, because he came to the Medina not because he wanted to worship, not he wanted to follow the Prophet ﷺ, not he wanted ibadah, he wanted to be around the Muslims. He was deeply in love with Qais, is her name. He was deeply in love with her. So he left in her regard, become Muslim for her regard. This is why this hadith was narrated, because the Prophet talked about this case. Now you understand what I'm talking about, brothers and sisters. If you make the niyyah to leave ATL, and you want to come to Morocco because there's many beautiful women here, and that you cannot get her unless you become Muslim, so you go to Morocco to marry. You didn't come to Morocco to be a Muslim. You didn't come to Morocco to hear the Adhan. You didn't come to Morocco to live under a Muslim commander. You didn't do all that. You came here because you wanted to what? Marry a Moroccan woman, or you wanted to marry a Gambian woman, or you wanted to marry a girl from Senegal. You see, a sister from Senegal. And this is what this hadith here is giving you the evidence why it's important that you have the right niyyah. It's very important. And you have to, sometimes it's very cloudy. And I'll close here. Sometimes this situation is very, very cloudy. You can't practice your faith. So, but you have the opportunity now, you heard, you can go to the Gambia. And so, and you also want a wife because 50% of Islam is the marriage. Bottom line, this is true, 50%. But you still got to be very careful on that niyyah. So now you're preparing to go to the Gambia. And you have to make sure that niyyah is correct. You're going there to worship and you're going there to live among the Muslimin. You're going there to fulfill your obligations as a Muslim. But you're also there because you want a Muslim wife, because there is prohibited. You only women available are Christian girls and others. You see? So if you do that, you're in good shape, my brothers, because you have a difficult situation at hand. I know this. And this hadith here should help you to discern, so that way you can get the right reward, and you should do that. Now, I will continue on the second part of this of the intentions, my brothers and sisters, and again, some of this is mundane to a lot of people, but remember what I told you before. I'm trying to round out the education, the Islamic education, because we have many people don't even know what the Aqidah is. You ask, they don't even know. They can't explain to you. And another aspect about this, when someone asks you a question about the Sunnah, and you have some of these people who are against us, if you learn the 77 traits of Iman, you can find it in English, and you follow that, you're on your way to understanding the Sunnah of our Prophet, because it's him who drafted this up. So you get the people who will fight you talking about the Sunnah, even among other Muslims, you can say, hey, I'm learning the 77. If you want to know subhanahu wa ta'ala, you want to know, don't go to the cosmos. We don't have this type of knowledge, and we should not be worried about that. He didn't tell us to worry that. But you learn the 99 names of subhanahu wa ta'ala. That will help you to understand him better. See, so those are some words of advice and wisdom to you, brothers and sisters, on that subject. So we will conclude here, and I will pick up on this again at a later date, inshallah ta'ala, and talk more about this. But in the meantime, like I said, if you want to get this book, you can. And they have it in English, and they have it as well in Arabic. It is an outstanding book, brothers and sisters, outstanding book. And if you want to round out your Islamic education, which we're weak in, especially in the West, this is one book here that you can get, and you can really help for you to understand the Aqidah, part of the Aqidah, which is the intentions. And again, the book is called The Actions Are by Intentions. Let me see, I got put the actions. Actions are by intentions. Okay. This is, it's, check. Faisal. Okay, check Faisal. And this is here. And this should help you get an understanding. It's about 50 pages, okay? And it's beautifully written, easy to understand, brothers and sisters. And I highly recommend that you get this to help you to strengthen your nia, but to increase your education, to increase that Islamic education, which is a must that we all must do. So my brothers and sisters, I will leave you now with this, and those in the future, again, I want to give my gratitude and thanks to you, brothers and sisters, wherever you may be, United States, Africa, the Jazeera Arab, or Asia, or every place where you're at, and you subscribe to my station. Jazakallah khairan. I really appreciate that. Barakallah feek. I'm really appreciative of that. And those brothers and sisters who are new, who decide they like the content, please subscribe to my station and spread the word if you like the content. And like I say, I am straightforward. I touch on subjects a lot of times that many of our students of knowledge and our scholars don't touch. They don't want to touch that. We understand their position, and I won't get into that. But I try to delve in those type of situations to explain, like I did here the other day. It was hard hitting, but I had to talk about this issue that you don't get to hear much from our scholars on this issue because they're encumbered and a lot of them are in trouble, and they have to be very careful what they do. So my brothers and sisters, I'll leave you with the beautiful words of Jinnah. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.